It is November 5th, 2021. This is the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined by Alfred Konuwa and Issa NYC Demon Diva. And it's 8:20 here on the Pacific Coast. Are we all still employed? I feel like with all these releases going around, I just need to keep checking my status.
I haven't checked my phone in an hour, so for all I know, I could have been fired, but I'm here today. Might be working for free, but I'm here today.
God.
You know what? Technically speaking, we could all be fired because they sent us the link yesterday, but nobody's talked to us today.
Nope.
So
I haven't heard a
I
word
mean,
from anybody.
they didn't change the login for us to do the show, so maybe we still have a job.
Oh my God. So there's so much to talk about tonight, but it's all overshadowed. WWE just really knows how to step on their own narrative, right? I mean, nobody's thinking about SmackDown tonight. It was a so-so show. It was what it was, but I think we're just all still reeling from the extensive, 18 wrestlers
18.
between the main roster and NXT released yesterday.
Yeah. Let's just get right into it. That's our top news story right now. 18 wrestlers released. I'll name them all. Some of these very shocking. Nia Jax, Karrion Kross, Scarlett Bordeaux, B-Fab, Grand Metalik, Lindsay Dorado, Eva Marie, Keith Lee, Mia Yim, Harry Smith, Oni Lorcan, Frankie Monet, Ember Moon, Trey Baxter, Jesse Kamea, Jeet Rama, Zeta Ramir, and Katrina Cortez in an absolute bloodbath. Some stories coming out of this in terms of reaction. Nia Jax took to Twitter, talked about how she had to take a mental health break and a leave of absence and was taken by surprise at being released in this manner. Keith Lee wanted to make sure everybody knew that he did not come up with the Bearcat character. Karrion Kross called his helmet a piece of shit. And Ember Moon said, all I can do is laugh. So this has just been dominating the headlines right now in terms of another round of releases. And, a lot of the 90-day competes have come up like Bray Wyatt's because it's around this time when they do their quarterly earnings, when they're going to have a new stock price on Wall Street. This is when they usually choose to do these mass releases. So in addition to these ROH releases with all these free agents out there, you can add 18 more, a lot of whom are very talented. Most, if not all, have a lot of potential in the wrestling business, but an unprecedented amount of free agency, and WWE continues to just, have heads roll, cost cutting, with many people believing that they are setting up for a sale. But we'll start with you, Issa. A lot to unpack here. What are your initial thoughts and reactions on the WWE releases?
I guess there's a lot of these names that I was very shocked by. I guess Keith Lee, Karrion Kross, obviously the two obvious ones. I was heartbroken about Frankie Monet. You guys know we've been Team Frankie since the beginning. Really heartbroken for B-Fab. Felt like you just called them up. She looked part of it. Even Hit Row just felt different for me tonight. And it's not that they did anything. Yeah, it's not that they did anything different. It's like what Glenn said. This overshadows everything going on, and you start noticing the little changes. And Hit Row, that she wasn't an issue there, so I didn't understand why let her go. All the speculation. I think, I don't know if it's gonna be Chris Jericho. I don't know who's going to be, but 30 and / 90 days from now, because a lot of these guys only have 30-day clauses. They ended up having NXT contracts. 30 to 90 days from now, a lot of wrestling podcasts out there are going to have a lot of people speaking their truths, and we're going to have a lot of content to download and listen and sit through, because there's a lot of speculation over what went on here. And there's a few of these people that I really cannot wait to hear their side of the story, especially Karrion Kross and Scarlett. Mia Yim, she never had a fair shot in the main roster. Keith Lee, how do you screw Keith Lee up? How? You go back and think of his Survivor Series performance like that with Roman Reigns, that stare down with Brock Lesnar. I would assume everybody wanted to see that match at some point. You have champions out there that have absolutely nobody to contend with right now. Who's going to beat Roman Reigns? Really, think about it. Nobody. But you're going to fire somebody like a Keith Lee or a Karrion Kross who could you could insert them into any championship feud right now. It just seems ridiculous. But I get it. It's a business and they're trying to make their numbers. But it seems, I don't know, not very tasteful to do that at the same time as you bragging about how much money you made in the last quarter.
I feel like with NXT, they've broken up what is perhaps the strongest women's roster in the history of professional wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Ember Moon. I forgot to mention that one. That one really upset me as well.
A lot of these people like Moon at their peak were just white hot and were huge stars in terms of, wow, when they get to the main roster, watch out. But, I mean, this really kind of points to that fundamental change in philosophies. It's really screwed a lot of these careers up in WWE.
I mean, I've been thinking about this, especially with the influx now of women's talent hitting the market again. I mean, look, AEW is already struggling to do right by many of the women on the roster. Limited numbers of matches, limited opportunities. The second title is definitely going to help. Impact doesn't really get a lot of coverage. NWA as well. ROH with their issues. I mean, their women's division is a viable option. I mean, I almost wonder. I don't think the answer is women of wrestling, but I do think that, man, now is the time. If somebody savvy like a Mickey James wanted to go, hell, use something like WeFunder where you can get, like, it's not like GoFundMe or Kickstarter. You can actually have people invest in own shares. I think now is the time, if there was going to be a serious national TV-ready independent promotion. Now, I mean, there's just this abundance of great talent that's TV-ready and could really thrive in this environment.
No, there's going to have to be. There is an abundance of free agents and not a lot of promotions. It's crazy. When we came out of this pandemic, I remember before the pandemic, there was just one promotion after another. There was one year at WrestleMania 34, I believe, or it might have been the year before that too, where there was so many independent shows. It seemed like there was just all these endless abundance of independent promotions. Yeah. But now we've opened back up, and most of them have just disappeared. GCW is doing great work, and there's a few of them. MLW is still out there, but even if all these rosters from MLW, WWE, AEW, if they fill all their rosters to capacity, even if that happens, there are going to be scores of very talented free agents without a job, and they're just going to have to start their own thing. I mean, I've gotten an extra step seeing all these black free agents at the same time. You should start your own promotion. There should be a black wrestling promotion that they could start. There's a lot of different options, but a lot of these wrestlers are going to have to probably get creative and start their own shop because there just isn't enough room right now on the wrestling scene to house all of these free agents, which is very sad.
And what's crazy, Alfred, I think that's a great idea. I think you should absolutely do that. I think that if you look at fans wanting to literally put their money where their mouth is, I think crowdfunding is a great way to do real investment, give real equity, real sense of ownership from the fans. I mean, it makes me wonder, like, we don't hear anything about Shimmer anymore. I don't really know a lot about their inner workings as a company, but there's got to be someone that could take advantage of these opportunities because, it's like AEW I don't think is viable. I think AEW's got room for maybe like 3 more.
I mean, you could argue they've already got too many people. I mean, they don't release people, so that's pretty magnanimous of them. But if you look at that roster and the TV time they have, they might have too many people already.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know, man.
Right.
And then it's further complicated because, so what was the story? It was the New York Post that broke a story about this last night?
In terms of the releases?
Yeah, about the releases, about the reasoning behind some of them.
Oh, yeah, that was
the New York Post had a thing about it, yeah.
Yes. I mean, there have been speculation about vaccination status in terms of some wrestlers were released due to not being vaccinated. We don't know who those are. It could be anywhere from 4 to 8. Nobody knows the actual numbers, so I'm sure that's something that's going to come out. And then, of course, WWE, with their women in particular, is going through a youth movement where they want them, 23 to 25 years old. They've had that mandate out for the men in terms of wanting bigger wrestlers with who aren't as well traveled on the indies, and they kind of want clean slates that they can work on. So, WWE is just not going to be in the business of hiring a lot of wrestlers. They're going to be in the business of cutting a lot of wrestlers. And I just think that what WWE does better right now than they ever have before is the business end, is they make more money than ever. They're not good at booking professional wrestling anymore. They're really, the stories that they're telling and whatnot are not as good as when they were at their peaks. So now they're just focusing on what they're good at, which is cost cutting, getting that stock price up, making millions of dollars off of an entertainment company, which they have done a phenomenal job doing.
Are you cost cutting when you're letting go of people that are probably making the bare minimum? Some of these names, you have to understand, we're probably not making something that I will say, oh yeah, this is going to really save our numbers when it comes to cost cutting, which makes it questionable. At the same time, also some of those names were not being used on TV. So on the business perspective, it does make sense. Why am I paying a salary that I'm not utilizing? I'm not getting any ROI on this salary. But it's like you're also cutting people that are probably not really making. I mean, a lot of the names that we had already seen on the main roster were still under NXT contracts, which we saw that when they were discussing who has 30-day clause and this and that. But I'm just saying, and I also don't want anybody to lose their job, let alone anybody making, more just for it to be considered cost reduction. But when you tell me Bray Wyatt, which obviously we all know there's a lot of speculation as to why he was, let go. I personally thought Bray Wyatt's merch sold very well. I'm pretty sure
did.
there was a lot of return on investment with Bray Wyatt, but that's a name that I would assume is making a lot of money. Braun Strowman. But these names that we heard today, I doubt that they were on top of their salary cap,
Yeah.
If this was 25 years ago, The Fiend would still be on WWE TV with Bray Wyatt out of the company.
No, they're still releasing merchandise for him.
Yeah, they are. They just, I just have a story on it on Forbes. Go read to where there's a toy line that they released with John Cena, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, Hulk Hogan, and Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. So they're still getting that money off of Bray Wyatt. It shows how much of a merch mover he is. That
Well, they paying CM Punk for years, right? Afterwards, it was a video game. It was because of the video game, but they were paying. Yeah, they were paying CM Punk also for a little while because they were using his likeness for some of the stuff. So at least they're still trying to make their money off of him. I mean, they do own some of these characters, and I believe the Fiend is one that they own.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens with the Cult of Wyndham or whatever it is he's teasing now.
I can't wait. But it's already been a week, bro. Like, come on.
I know. Like, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think AEW only has room for like Bray, and I think they're kind of full after that, right?
I mean, I don't even know if I would like to see Bray Wyatt there or land somewhere where he can use his creative vision on a big platform. But it's fair to question whether they do, in fact. I mean, they have room on AEW Dark for a lot of these indie guys, which is where I see a lot of them kind of shuffling in and working and not necessarily getting a full-time contract. But I mean, this, it's been like kind of Pavlovian to be like, oh, they should go to AEW because it's a competing company. That's just not the solution, especially when you look at the field of free agents. It's not going to be, a lot of these guys are going to have to start their own shops, which I'm all for it. I'm all for wrestlers taking ownership of their own brand and starting their own thing. And, a lot of these indies are going to help them along the way, but there just aren't as many as there used to be.
Here's what we need. Somebody text Mark Cuban or Warren Buffett. We need another billionaire to start a promotion.
Tyler Perry presents pro wrestling. I like it.
My God, Alfred, there you go. Tyler, and he's got his own studio in Atlanta. It's perfect.
Huge studio in Atlanta. He runs Atlanta now.
Oh my God, that would be perfect.
Move into those Turner Studios. There we go.
Like we need more competition. There's an influx of talent, but I don't know how they all survive and thrive. I mean, they look at a situation like with Danhausen. I mean, you've got someone that's like the hottest independent wrestler who's now going to do a GoFundMe for his medical bills.
Yeah.
It's a weird freaking time right now. I feel like there's more money to be made, but you start spreading it so thin after a while. I'm afraid that wrestling is about to become like music has sort of become, where it's like you could have a name, but you're still not. You can have a name, you can tour, but you're still grinding out a middle class living.
Right. That's kind of grim, but I mean that's a very on point analogy in terms of the money that's in pro wrestling at that level right now.
Yeah.
You can take after Thunder Rosa, who is in the chat plugging her own wrestling company that she started, Mission Pro Wrestling. So there's a lot of people out there that are doing their own thing. And it's a movement. And there's enough people out there that have been released that you could really make a difference right now if you get all of these people together and let's make a difference. Let's make it happen. Look at how AEW got started and look at where it's at now. If you just get the right amount of fans behind you and the right billionaire behind you, there's no reason why this couldn't happen.
Yeah, true. Definitely. I mean, you mentioned Mark Cuban. He is a wrestling fan. He's a guy who does love wrestling and has done things there. I mean, but yeah, there's going to need to be something like that comes along if there's going to be another independent promotion that runs the way ROH did. But
and he can literally go by Money Mark Cuban. I mean, come on.
There you go.
That's perfect.
Sure, he'd love that.
But this is crazy, and the vaccination thing just adds another wrinkle to this because I think that given just the reality of the situation and that requirement, it's going to be very hard for this talent to work if that becomes more and more of regularity. Is AEW requiring vaccination? I know Eddie Kingston tonight in his promo referenced sitting out because of potential COVID exposure, but it seems like major promotions, this is going to be a requirement going forward.
I mean, I would assume it has to be only because a lot of the venues in which they're performing at are requiring these vaccinations. I know in New York City, you cannot go anywhere near without having this vaccination card. You can even enter a McDonald's right now without showing your vaccine card. So while I understand that it's everybody's choice, I would assume that with the traveling and the venues, they have to become a little more strict with what they expect. It's either that or you're traveling with tests, but I think some places are requiring now that you have, like, not even the test, you have to have the vaccination if you're, qualified for it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, take aside the pandemic and the politics of that, but it's like, look, man, if you don't pay your taxes, the government will not let you collect a paycheck until they get paid. If you don't register your car or your driver's license, you can get fined, for not going through the legal channels there. If that's a requirement, that's just a reality to work in the field that they want to work in. And I don't think one person's going to be able to rock the boat or buck that trend.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm finding out the hard way as a part owner of the Green Bay Packers. My quarterback, the best quarterback in the world, will not be on the field this Sunday because he did not get vaccinated. But we are still going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs 30-24 in overtime. You heard it here first.
There you go. What's Brett doing? Can they just bring him back? Is he still an option?
He's going through some problems right now, but who knows? Maybe he could come back and play for the Green Bay Packers. Play for him. Listen, St. Louis is just a plane ride away. Holla at your boy, Green Bay. I'll go on the field and hand the ball off to Aaron Jones.
Marcus Thomas, $5. Will the WWE have enough wrestlers for the Royal Rumble after all the releases? Keith Lee and Karrion Kross were future Royal Rumble winners.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully. I can't tell you for sure. Let's see. We got another 3 months. So in January is probably going to be the next round of cuts. That'll be right around the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, maybe they'll do the Royal Rumble and then cut like everybody who got eliminated.
Yeah.
That'll be the stipulation. If you don't win the Royal Rumble,
Listen,
you get thrown over the top, you're done.
Oh, no. At this point, what they need to do is just have the Royal Rumble in which it's just the countdown every 90 seconds, and it's just Roman standing there asking people to acknowledge him every 90 seconds 30 times. Because...
Well, I'm telling you, I could almost see them doing it tonight. The way they coded Roman talking about everyone's, the last week that they had, I could see them. I joked about this, but I could see this for Survivor Series. That there's a stip that some people are getting like future endeavored. Losers on Survivor Series lose that contract spot. I think they're almost callous enough to play into quote unquote their reality for a storyline.
Oof.
Yeah, we were talking on Wednesday about how great it is to see AEW embrace like a real life storyline and kind of weave it into what they're doing in a thoughtful way. And I think this would be the complete opposite. It's taking these people's lives and being like, hey, let's make a storyline of this, brother.
Hey, 2 words for you: Drake Maverick.
That again.
I'm never going to let that one go. That is going to be like 20 years from now, people are going to still talk about like, that is some of the craziest shit that we never got I wonder if we'll ever get the full truth on it.
Yeah. Who knows?
But that was just nuts. So, okay, what else we got in the news? Because we got shows to talk about tonight.
Yes, we do have shows. A real quick, kind of ill-timed story here. WWE released their financials, and boy, are they making a lot of money. $255.8 million in revenue for the quarter, up 15%, mainly due to ticket sales and coming back on tour, but also being on tour did cut into their costs. Might explain why they had to make so many cuts, because their net income was down to $43.5 million in the quarter, which was up, of course, this time last year because they weren't running these live crowds. And the 9 months ended in September. They have made $785 million. They will be flirting with $1 billion by the end of this year. But listen, this is a company that cares more about its stock price these days. And possibly, I don't know this for a fact, but I think anybody looking from the outside in thinks that they're paring this down, getting it ready for a sale. If somebody comes along, there are potential suitors who I think they can make a lot of money off of this. And you see how much money they're making compared to all these roster cuts they're making. And it is a head scratcher, but if there is a grander story to this, it really would make sense that they are cost cutting right now, even though that's very sad.
Yeah, and they're so close to $1 billion that now it makes me wonder who's getting cut so that they can hit the $1 billion.
Yeah, they want to really race to the finish.
They really want to say that, so they're just going to cut a couple more people just to get to the $1 billion on purpose. I mean, good for them for making money. I figured, I was actually curious to see, I'm a big P&L nerd and I love seeing these figures. I was very curious to see what the numbers would change because I thought going back on the road was really going to benefit them, but I know the cost that comes with running so many shows on the road.
Yeah.
So you can actually see that in their operations cost right now has gone up, but it's not like it affects them in any way because they're still a money-making company.
Yeah.
It's just such a weird time, man. I mean, you think about it, and I almost wonder if more wrestlers should start buying WWE stock At least that way benefit on the back end of it, right? Put your savings there. It's like that way it's like it's not a
negotiate it onto your contracts. Yes.
You should. It would be a good, I mean, they'd never go for this, but to get a couple of points in stock options with WWE wouldn't be the worst move to do, especially around 2022, 23. Listen to your Uncle Alfie. Buy stock in WWE around 2022. You can even do it now, but when they have that next TV rights deal, it's at around $60 right now. I see that thing going up to maybe past 100 because they're going to get an increase in whatever they make off the TV rights deal come 2023. So that's a good thing to hold on to if you got a little change hanging around.
Disclaimer for the SEC, we are not investment professionals.
Yes.
What we're saying does not constitute as financial advice.
I'm just Uncle Alfie here. I'm just a relative. I'm not a professional with the SEC. Please don't come for me.
Yeah, I can't give the Wall Street Bets disclaimer, but we're going to do our best to lay it out there. Or we need more wrestling crypto. Why MJF coin came and went so fast? Yeah. Maybe some NFTs. I don't know. We got to figure out something.
Yeah, WB, shout out to NFTs. They're really in that business right now.
They're really in that business with a lot of unsold NFTs.
Yeah, they're really trying for that NFT. So they're trying to get it on the ground floor, but they remain on the ground. And then last story really quick, AEW Dynamite down pretty big, 878,000. They were at 941,000 the week before. So they were down 7%. Their demo was the worst since July 7th. I was shocked by this number, but I guess, a lot of real life things tend to affect the AEW audience. So there were elections that day, and I think that might have affected them.
Yeah, that really affected it.
People were really, it was under 1 million. It was at like 940,000. So I was thinking, they're just getting used to AEW being back on Wednesdays. So it'll probably hit the million the next week. And that didn't happen at all. But listen, I think the elections might have affected it.
Weren't the elections on Tuesday?
They might, Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay, maybe it was.
It was the aftermath of the elections. They were so distraught by the nail biter in Virginia and New Jersey.
They're still reeling in Jacksonville at these election results of the Democrats just being slaughtered. It's unfortunate for AEW.
Wait, it wasn't that? No, that was on Tuesday too, right? When did the World Series end? That was Tuesday. Also.
Yeah, I think the NBA did take a chunk out of it.
Oh, it was the NBA then, because I know every week we gotta find a reason, right? We cannot just say the ratings are down.
The products get nice cold, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's a good number for AEW. That's 2 weeks now under 1 million. So pay attention to what they do on Wednesday heading into full gear, because they're not going to have not a lot of competition like they did last week. And I would expect it to be around 1 million, but the number seems to be very slacking.
If AEW had Tony D'Angelo, just imagine.
Yeah. Oh my 100%. God, they will be at 5 million.
100%.
Oh man, I was still thinking about that. That's still the best thing I've seen this week.
The Tony D'Angelo appearance on last.
Alfred, did you watch it? Did you watch?
I did. Oh yeah.
Did you watch Tony D'Angelo? Yeah. Okay.
I did. I enjoyed his threats. I enjoyed him being a goon on camera. That's my guy.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston and CM Punk tonight. Close second. Close second.
Close second. Yes. Nothing will ever.
Oh, that was good. I can't wait to talk about it.
Amazing. That's all I want to talk about from Rampage.
And Tony, I'm just putting it out there to your friends at sanitation. I still got all these boxes I got to recycle. If you could just send somebody by off cycle pickup, I'd appreciate it. Okay, so let's. Oh man, we got to talk about the wrestling shows tonight, don't we? Issa, you like this Roman Reigns?
Let's start with SmackDown because at the beginning of that show, he said he cut a promo talking about running around naked, and that made my night. Look, Glenn is already like, this is already going downhill. But he said it. You guys heard him. He said he said his wife was loving it. I'm like, sure she was. I even did a cheers to her, man. Lucky woman.
So Issa got the vapors during Roman's promo. And,
as usual.
Yes. So
actually, my favorite part was when he said, "Little nameless city." Acknowledge me, like he didn't even give Evansville the time of the day to call them by name, which I thought was funny.
They played around with that a lot. Even Woods came out and said Evansville because there's those long-standing rumors that Vince doesn't like certain small cities being named. So they really leaned into that tonight. I thought that was very funny.
Listen, I have been to Evansville. It's not the most exciting place on earth. No hate on anybody from there.
Oh, man. I'll tell you, this was a good opening promo, but this is that kind of thing where it's reality at the expense of, stepping on their own pop, because Roman out there saying literally the show sucked last week because I wasn't on it. Oh, it's almost as bad as Raw. I know this pops the internet wrestling community, but this is not how you sell. This is not how you sell like your company or your image. It reminds me of when Yo-Yo came out with her third album, You Better Ask Somebody, and she admitted that her previous album, Black Pearl, was whack in the lyrics to a song. And it's like, don't diss your own shit.
Yeah, Eminem once said on his recovery album, he said, relapse, I was on drugs. Recovering, I was fleshing them out. It's like, that's 2 albums that you just buried. And I thought they were 2 very good albums.
Yeah, but they weren't his best. That being said, we were just talking about how we like when they play with real things into the storyline. So why not Roman Reigns come out and speak the truth? The show, it sucks without him. I did think Monday Night Raw this week was actually good. I didn't hate it.
Me too.
So I was like, I don't know why you're hating on Raw. This might be the only week that I was like, you know what, this show was not bad. And I even went back and listened to a couple of reviews because I was like, I was there live, and live is always a different experience, and that crowd was a lot of fun. But no, Raw was good. So I was like, come on, Roman, don't hate. Give him a little bit of credit. Raw tried.
I will say this. I think this is strategic because even though they haven't really promoted Survivor Series, the tagline for Survivor Series every year is Raw versus SmackDown. Only time of year you'll see them. So maybe he's just throwing that out there so that hopefully a babyface Big E comes out there and says, hey, you're not going to talk about Raw like that. And that's how they set that off for the Raw and SmackDown guys to go one-on-one.
But Alfred, is that the tagline? Because we don't have a single match set up for Survivor Series.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't even know what they're doing.
I'm giving them too much credit, possibly. Maybe a week before the pay-per-view, they'll throw all this together at us. But if they do decide to promote this pay-per-view, maybe that's a story that they go with.
No, I think, they just... No, they just to get Roman and Big E, and then Wilmer Valderrama comes out, and they play Yo Mama.
Yeah.
They bring that back.
Show.
Wasn't that like 20 years ago that show was on?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a ripoff of, what was it when HBO had Snaps? That's what it's kind of a ripoff of. HBO Snaps.
Yeah, definitely.
That was a superior version of Yo Mama. But no, I thought this was good tonight. I like how they set up the New Day versus the Usos. So Kofi and Xavier came out, and this idea that there was going to be a match tonight, and then there was going to be bowing to one party or the other. And I loved how they had those drawings that were clearly photographs, meaning they posed with Xavier bowing to Roman. And what was it, Jimmy bowing to
Xavier.
Yes. Yeah, was it Jimmy or was it Jay? Now I'm confused.
It was Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Yes. So I like how they set that up. But, that was a fun stipulation and a fun through line in the show, but it's like, you have to admit that's like a silly, like that's your big storyline for. We're going to take everyone's mind off all the releases. We're going to take everyone's mind off all the mediocrity, and this is going to just be tonight about someone's going to kneel before Zod. That's the show.
Right, agreed. But at the same time, it was a fun, creative way to give us the Usos and the New Day possibly again feeling fresh, because the Usos and the New Day have feuded on multiple occasions, and this just feels a little bit different.
Yeah, and I like the fact that there was a through line. This is all I want for any wrestling show they do, whether I like the through line or not. I like the fact that they were promoting this for the whole show. The crowd was really into it by the end when they were chanting "Bend the Knee." I thought it was fun that they had these graphics and they had the story that they set up at the beginning, and they were really hammering it home. And I do think that's going to help that final hour rating. So I think this should be more the norm in terms of them having a story that threads through the entire wrestling show. That's really what wrestling should be all the time.
Were you happy with the payoff of the story, though?
When I thought he was going to bend the knee, I thought it was very fun how they did it. But it does make sense with Roman Reigns' character. I really do like. I agree. He refuses to see anybody be acknowledged the way he wants to be acknowledged. So that was great for the Roman Reigns character.
Yeah, and anytime we end up with Roman Reigns' man bun coming apart and the hair being let loose, that's a great payout to any Roman Reigns story.
You should, Issa, during the show, get doctors to hook you up, or like with a portable like EKG machine. You can take temperature.
I have a bad heart, so I don't even try to look at it because it's probably not.
Because you would see, and you could just like release like the seismographic readings.
You might be onto something, Glenn. I might have to do that. I might start releasing screenshots of my Apple Watch, like monitoring my heart rate when Roman is on the screen.
You absolutely should.
Yeah. Your watch starts saying you might be having some atrial fibrillation. No, it was just a Roman segment.
Right.
So we went from this, and this didn't feel old to me. We had Naomi versus Shayna Baszler tonight, still continuing Naomi's conflict with Sonya Deville. Loved Naomi getting the win and then restarting the match, and then Shayna getting the win. Alfred, what did you think of this?
I really do like this storyline. I do think they're going to this well of Naomi losing one too many times. Like, eventually she needs to get this comeuppance. And I'm afraid that if they keep beating her, by the time it's time for her to get that comeuppance, people will be like, oh, I mean, she's a loser. I don't care anymore. Because the WWE crowd is conditioned to when you lose too much, they're just going to lose trust and faith in you. And they're not necessarily following the week-to-week storyline because WWE has kind of trained you to have instant gratification. So I absolutely love what they're doing from a storyline standpoint, but they're doing this one too many times, I think. And I think eventually we got to get to Naomi going one-on-one with Sonya Deville.
See, I love this Brian raising the chest saying that was effed up what Sonya did to Naomi. That's the point. That's why this is, I mean, they're just really, really going there and making this seem like the ultimate, like, my boss has it in for me situation.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. But the fact that we, for a slight second, got to see Naomi win, even though Sonya came out and took it back, it was great. I think they're doing a great job at making Sonya look like a heel here because I didn't know if it was going to work out with her, but she is killing it. And I really I'm still at that level where I cannot wait for Naomi to finally get her back. But I agree. I think at some point we have to see some kind of retaliation from Naomi here. Otherwise, it's going to get old. And then when she gets it, people are just not going to believe in it anymore because they took so long to get there. But I still am enjoying the storyline as much as I was. And I did like the way that the crowd popped for the one slight second that we thought that Naomi had won that match. Everybody was so happy. And that's something that Naomi does so well, which is just get the fans behind her. She's always been very good at that.
Do you think we ever get an in-character explanation from Sonya about her, the way she's treating Naomi? And do you think they do a cop-out and try and have it where Sonya was like, I was trying to bring out the best in you?
I mean, didn't they already do that? They had that with the backstage interview where she essentially said that to Kayla Braxton, like, oh, this is that what she was saying? She was saying something like that.
I don't know that we're ever going to get an explanation from it, especially with Sonya being the heel figure here. She doesn't have to give any explanation.
Yeah,
but I can totally see it being a cop-out just because they don't want to play into, you know, what the real reason could be why she's treating her that way and showing the favoritism.
Yes. Yeah. I was trying to unlock that ferocious competitor within you.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah, but how are you trying to unlock a ferocious competitor when she's begging you for a match every week and you're not giving it to her? If that was your reasoning behind her, then you will let her wrestle anytime she asks you to.
Yeah,
I know.
They always try and pull something because they don't want anyone to ever be too tarnished.
Right.
You know? Which is unfortunate because that's what makes a great heel is someone who just literally like, I'm evil and I don't care.
Yeah, you got to go all the way with these things and, you know, kind of play to that. It's not, you know, I don't think she'd be tarnished. I think as a heel and she would get heat. And then whenever it's time to turn her, you know, wrestling goes in cycles.
Yeah. So after that, we had the official name debut tonight of Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, Los Lotharios. Now that's, Isa, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that's Spanish for the Lotharios, correct?
Yes.
Just making
that was my guess too.
I took Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. I don't remember much of it, but that did stick.
I'm impressed. Your menudo listening days have clearly paid off.
Really, really helped. So they won their match tonight against Cesaro and Mansoor. Issa, what'd you think of this match?
So this is the one thing that I also enjoyed a little bit on Monday Night Raw. It felt fresh. It felt like a matchup that we haven't seen. So when it comes to that, I mean, that was fun. But other than that, was it something that I was dying to see and it kept my attention the entire time? No, but it was a good match and something. It's good to see the new rosters and see new people interact that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, especially because when they announced this match, they're like, against the makeshift team of Cesaro and Mansoor. And it's like, yeah, way to build that thing up. Like these two guys we just threw together are going to face Los Lotharios. But I do think Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza are very talented wrestlers, and I'm glad that they're actually doing something with them in terms of making them an actual tag team. I did like their music, but we'll see with this. We'll see if WWE, just how far they go. They're not very invested in tag team wrestling, and for years they haven't really been invested in either of them individually in terms of getting behind them consistently. So we'll see if this sticks.
Yeah. We'll see. But they were putting them over on commentary tonight. So we'll see if this is going to be the start of a push.
I still think Menudo Rejects would have made a better tag team name for them.
They should. Is Lothario Spanish for F boys?
No, I don't even know what Notarios means, honestly.
I don't think is Lothario necessary. I mean, is it what's the origin of the word? Because I think it has the same meaning.
It's Spaniard.
I've always heard it. I've heard it used before. It's from a character in a play, apparently.
Like a lover boy, right?
Yeah, but one who does not treat women well.
F boys.
Yes.
They used to call them Los F boys.
No, Menudo Rejects. Menudo Rejects, F boys, anything better.
What else does it say about Lothario?
For more on the origin of Lothario, check out your local library. It was from a play in the 1700s, but I'm not going to go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole. We've got too much to cover. We've got too much to talk about. Aaliyah backstage talking to Jeff Hardy interrupted, and Aaliyah talking to Sami Zayn, not talking about their Canadian connection. Trying to give her advice. Sammy is the locker room leader. Aaliyah looked like a different. I mean, not seeing her for a while, she looks so much more mature and confident. She just had a extra level of swag tonight that I think she didn't have in NXT. I thought she looked fantastic.
I mean, she's looked great throughout the whole 2 backstage segments they're giving her. That's all they've done with her. I'm ready to see something else. I know she was doing a couple of dark matches, but I would love to see her just become involved in a real storyline other than. I don't like the backstage segments without a purpose that just feel like, hey, remember this person? Yeah, they're part of this roster. And that's what that felt like to me. I do think she has a great look.
Well, her presence,
weird too.
Presence is specifically what I was referring to, but go for it.
Yeah, no, she looked great, but the segment itself was Jeff Hardy was talking to her, just kind of, being the elder statesman in a babyface way. And then he was about to do an interview and he blows off the interview and just follows her because she's talking to Sami Zayn. There's no reason for him to be there. He just follows her over there because she was talking to Sami Zayn. And it was just so awkward. Why does Jeff Hardy need to be here? I mean, can she not talk to Sami Zayn? Is he...
He's probably wondering if he's still employee.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Hey, just check it. Have you heard anything? I think my contract's probably up soon,
Email today.
Yeah.
I've been ignoring my phone all day, so I don't even know if I'm still employed.
But, okay, then we had Drew McIntyre versus Ricochet. And, they weren't done with Sammy for tonight. We'll get into that. But Drew McIntyre open challenge to Ricochet. So this was Ricochet's SmackDown debut, right?
I believe so, right?
And he lost.
Yeah, and he lost.
Of course.
Fun match, great finish. But, I mean... It's just, Drew McIntyre, they're really padding his stats with these open challenge matches. It's a internet darling destruction tour is what I've deemed it. I think Cesaro is going to be next week. I think he beats Cesaro in 5 minutes next week. But
here's my question, though. Why did they have this match? Ricochet looks so good. Ricochet lost. And then Drew talked to him like he just got called up. Good job, kid. You keep showing heart like that, you're going to go far in this business.
Mutual respect. Makes you think that him and Drew have interacted in the last year and a half? They probably have. Yeah. I don't like open challenges for nothing. Well, I understand I want to wrestle. Let's see who wants to take on me. Okay, maybe once or twice, but if that's going to become his thing every week, it's going to get old pretty soon because I want to see open challenges for a title, And yeah, agreed. I thought that Ricochet move to SmackDown was going to be beneficial for him. And as soon as I saw him answer to Drew McIntyre, I had a feeling he wasn't beating Drew McIntyre. So, why? You have Jeff Hardy following people around. Do a match between Jeff Hardy and Ricochet or do something different. Don't put somebody that needs a win against somebody that needs a win. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So that happened.
He's going to be feuding with Mustafa Ali, it looks like now, which...
Oh, yeah.
Last time they did that. They had good matches and whatnot, but I mean, it had a good match. They didn't really do anything with them, and so that's what I expect now. They're just going to have good matches, and and it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so happy talk. I would hazard a guess they have more of WWE creative working on jokes for Madcap Moss than they do on for all other stories combined
Jeez.
in WWE creative.
I mean,
Did he even tell a joke this week? What was his big line?
Oh,
He did the whole Rick Oops thing, and
oh yeah,
Nakamura.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm happy to announce that at the time that he was about to say whatever joke he said, my stream froze and it came back and it was like moving like the street, like the Viking Raiders were out. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. I'm happy about that.
WWE's been working with Netflix a lot. They've got like the Vince thing coming out, the New Day thing. What would you think would happen if they announced like an hour-long Netflix comedy special from Madcap Moss? You think the wrestling fans would go for that?
Oh no.
I like dumb comedy. I always say like The Simpsons and the Rake joke, you know, is a great example of that. I like anti-comedy. I think something like Even Freddy Got Fingered has its place in the archive of modern American comedy. Madcap Moss is like somebody writing something they think is really clever, like anti-comedy, and it's just bad, man. It's really, really just bad.
I do think that's what they're going for, but I think they're doing too good of a job at it.
I think if you're gonna do the Netflix special, the only way that will work if that sets up a feud with Dolph Ziggler for him not getting the Netflix comedy special, and then
there you go.
Feud.
I've seen some of Dolph's comedy. I mean, he's not, you know, Andy Kaufman or John Mulaney, but it is what it is. It's fine.
Yeah, that's a high bar. Yeah, I mean, he's okay. He's not. I mean, it just takes time and stuff like that. I don't think he's bad at all. I think wrestling does a good job of kind of readying you for that because you're in a live audience. You kind of have to roll with the punches. But
I think also we're in an era right now. You know, podcast being a great example of this. Like, there's so much comedy out there, and so many comedians out there that we've almost, I think, become numb to it at a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
And so and the Madcap thing, I get what they're trying to do. It's just bad. So they had the Viking Raiders out there, and I got to be honest, I thought they were dropped in the last round of cuts because I don't watch Raw. I was like, oh wait, they're still here.
Yeah, it's good to see them.
Oh my god.
I actually had that moment with Ricochet when I thought that he might have been cut, but I'm glad that Ricochet's still here.
Guys, come on. But agreed. This was another match that while I didn't need it, it felt fresh, and that's when you start seeing that the draft does help sometimes get us to see some matches that we haven't seen before, for it to feel a little bit fresh. Even though this SmackDown to me felt slightly throwaway-ish, but we did get a couple of like really fresh matches that we haven't seen, and interaction between people that haven't interacted before.
Yeah, and I thought the Viking Raiders looked fantastic. This is like they suddenly decided, let's make them look good. I mean, they always look good, but they look dominant in there. And I think Pat McAfee did a great job putting them over, like they were like a real deal tag team. I mean, they have all the talent in the world, but they always seem to kind of get stifled. But this was a really good start for them on SmackDown, I thought.
Yeah, and they won by count out. King Rail, we're gonna get to your chat in a minute, but it's $2 saying need Madcap to see the inside of Tony D'Angelo's trunk. There you go.
Agreed. That's excellent super chat.
And that's the thing. You're telling me, and this is no offense to Riddick Moss. I know you've been there a long time. I know you've been grinding. You're the guy that said it looks like a buff Shia LaBeouf for many years. You know, you've got your points, but I mean, it's just like you got Madcap Moss and you got Keith Lee. And you got to pick one. I'm sorry. I'm going with Keith Lee. If I had to pick, it was my money. You know,
it's very interesting, to see. Yeah, who would have thought?
And that's the terrible thing when they do all these releases, because every fan, I guarantee you, we don't want to say these things because we don't want to disparage any current talents on the roster. But I guarantee you, every fan in their mind, I guarantee you guys did it tonight too. Everyone watching this podcast saw at least one or two talents tonight on screen, and you were like, you kept this person rather than this person.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a little grim to go like there, but no, I get it. It just makes you wonder what it is that they're looking for in terms of these talents. I mean, WWE has things that they hone in on that they value more than others, that maybe some fans value more that they don't, and so it's just very interesting to see who they end up holding on to and who ends up getting released.
Yeah, and that's the point. You know, my perfect world, everybody has a job and everyone gets to keep working there. But it's just, it's tough though to make those judgments and decisions if you're picking. So let's talk about this first King Rail, $5. Super late to the show. Can you guys tell me why they cut the girl from Hit Row? I'm so confused. Why even bring her up? Let's be Fab. And Pat McAfee tonight said something about Hit Row. What was it? Be Fabulous.
This is gonna be fabulous. Shout out to Be Fab.
Oh my god! And they cut it from the song. The best part of the song.
It's the best part of the song, and that's their whole gimmick. Hit Row. That's like what they want the people to say, and that's no longer part of the song. And you know, I mean, listen, maybe it was a wrestling thing because she's very new to professional wrestling as a sport and whatnot. But I mean, if they're looking,
but you didn't even give her the chance to learn it.
Yeah, you got to have that opportunity to learn it.
Yeah, and you're the one who decided to call her up when you debut her in developmental. If she's that green, if she's not familiar with wrestling, then keep them on NXT a little bit longer, or don't put them in this great group together and then realize, oh, I have money, let me bring them up, but she's got to go. It's total bullshit. I'm sorry, this one I'm super upset by, but you guys know we're big fans of Hit Row. Yeah, it's whatever. You had her in developmental, then keep them down there a little bit longer. If they wanted to stick with the Hit Row stable, then have the patience to wait for her to get a little bit better. A, B, I mean, she was also released, but you have had other people up there like Eva Marie who can't wrestle, but you had them up there because of what they brought. B-Fab did bring something to this faction.
Yeah, I think it might have been a seniority thing too. Maybe because she was so new, they cut her. Because I'm not comfortable with it. The fact that like, oh, well, she couldn't wrestle, so we have to get rid of. Like, she brought something to that stable that was beyond wrestling. I mean, watching them interact with each other was, to me, better than most wrestling matches we would see in NXT. So I think there's a value beyond her being in the ring for BFAT.
Right. Agreed.
And people are speculating it's her vaccination status. Let me tell you, here's the reason I don't buy that. And this is just. I think that if you've heard there is a rule within a company and you think that rule might not possibly apply to you, or you might be able to get an exception for it, I think that you have to have a reason to have, I mean, I don't want to say ego, but you have to have a confidence reason. Like, well, I was champion on this brand and I was a hot call up. They're not going to cut me. Or, you know, I've got family in the company deep. They're not going to cut me. You have to have a reason to think you're an exception. And I just don't think, with Hit Row, I think it's great they got called up, but I don't know. It would also just seem really strange to me that in a group of 4 performers who came up and worked that close together, that there wouldn't be some sort of common understanding, belief, camaraderie. And I'm just saying that I'm just talking like the nuts and bolts of this right now. Not about, I don't care what you believe as far as it. I'm just saying when there's a rule, you have to have a reason to think there's an exception in the rule. And if you're in a group of people, you should be having a dialogue about trying to keep that group together, especially because they clearly wanted to keep that group together. It's the only reason why I suspect my inclination is to say that might not be the case.
Right. Yeah, I mean, everybody has their own reasons for why. So who knows who on that list is the unvaccinated people. But I mean, that is a good point in terms of them being such a close-knit unit that you would think they would be on the same page about that.
Yeah, I would hope. But look, okay, so tonight, and this is terrible because this is what overshadowed a segment tonight. Sami Zayn, the locker room leader, is going to show Hit Row how to make an entrance. All I could think of in my head, and if you've never seen it, Google it. All I could think of in my head was one of Sami Zayn's early characters, Big Larry. Thank God Vince McMahon has never seen Big Larry, or Big Larry would have returned tonight for a segment with Hit Row, I'm sure of it. But we had Sami Zayn showing Hit Row how to make an entrance, and then Hit Row just ripping him apart.
Yeah.
Yep. It was overshadowed by the circumstances, in my opinion. Hit Row just didn't feel the same to me, and I was extremely distracted just thinking, why did they have to cut her? That's literally all I could think throughout this entire segment.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded you with the music that they had this new music. I did like the segment. I don't like that they play the background music. They really do need to drop that because that was something that, a couple of weeks ago with that entrance that they did.
Yeah, we mentioned that too, that they play the music over them trying to cut their promos and it's distracting.
Yeah, and they continue to do that. And so I would rather it be a cappella, but the crowd was with it. They started chanting, Sammy sucks. But Hit Row as a trio didn't feel right, but they're just going to have to soldier on. I'm sure they have more than enough talent to hopefully make this work. But yeah, B-Fab was a really integral part, I think, to that group.
Yes.
And I honestly can say I think she elevated it to the next level because there was something about it with the look where, I mean, like, again, yes, they could have. I mean, they look like they could be a top hip hop faction, a top hip hop group, like something about them. She really was, I think, instrumental in helping them carry that look off to the next level. I hope they work well without her. The theme music needs, like, look, you own the song. At least keep her vocals on the song. Do something with it, but I hope she lands somewhere good after this. But yeah, it was just them like just cutting on Sammy, which was great.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah. Sammy's very good in that role. I love the idea that he is going around to everybody saying he's a locker room leader and he's going to teach them how. He's really good at it.
Yeah, he does a great job at just coming up with new inventive ways to still be relevant in these segments, right?
Yeah.
I still would like to see the documentary, though. Just saying.
They never paid that off, did they?
No.
Very unlike them. Very, very unlike
them. I know.
Man, if I'm Sammy or Kevin Owens or someone right now, after all these releases and whatnot, are you almost thinking that, like, I missed my window? Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
not Kevin Owens.
Yeah, both of their contracts are coming up at the end of the year, so they want out.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see where AEW is then. It'll be interesting to see when AEW gets to its 3-year anniversary if they renew all their talent deals.
Yeah, that's a very good question. It'll depend on what their financials look like and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's talk about the main event tonight. And man, that's part of it tonight. Like, I realize I feel like my view is more negative than usual. It's just like these cuts, man. Like, this has really just been a bummer. And what someone did a list. Was it Denise from Fightful? Someone put together a list. It was like over 100 talents they've cut since the start of the pandemic.
71 years. I'm sorry, 71 people in 2021 alone. It's like 106 with like through halfway through the pandemic to now.
Yeah, it's got to be over 100 since the pandemic.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it's just tough. It's
and when you add front office cuts, it's probably over 200 because that Black Friday alone was 100 people.
Corporate people have been. There's a lot of people in their corporate office that have been cut as well.
Yeah,
and it's just odd. It feels tough to root for this company or even enjoy their product all the time. And I mean, I think like most of us, we're watching it because we still do like and want to support the talents that are there that we followed for so long. It's like I don't want to give up on them. But
they do make it hard to be a fan or to root for WWE. You can't.
Yeah. So Xavier Woods versus Jimmy Uso tonight. Alfred, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was a good match. I thought it was a lot of fun, especially because they invoked that bend the knee stipulation. I think that was a success in terms of how people received this match. And I like the fact that Xavier Woods or King Woods, I thought at first, oh God, they're playing this for comedy and this is just they're gonna kind of shoehorn this guy. But I think this is a perfect balance of him knowing, just like what they did with the New Day, they know when to be funny, and then sometimes something will come along where they have to get a little more serious. And the fact that he's rubbing elbows with Roman Reigns, and they had this thing where he won again, and Micah King got his crown and his scepter and demanded. I thought this whole thing was great. I really do like what they're doing because now it's like the New Day on SmackDown. They're like right there with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre in terms of are the top guys they're building around. And I really like it. And I like how the Usos were. So I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought this match was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I like seeing what they're doing with Xavier Woods. He's felt like a bigger deal since winning King of the Ring. And I'm with Alfred when I say I thought it was going to start getting a little into the joking side, but it's not. He's doing his best as his character while still being taken seriously. I mean, he's getting Superman punched by Roman Reigns, and I'm sorry, that is a win in any situation. And what I mentioned earlier, I would like to just make that point again right now, that it's just like you're doing the New Day and the Usos once again, and it doesn't feel like their past feuds, and that's a big win because these guys love their matches, but they have feuded a lot of times. So for them to still manage to be making it feel fresh, you have to give them props for that.
And was I the only one that during all the bend the knee talk was getting Boyz II Men's on bended knee stuck in their head? Because I was just
what a classic! What a classic!
Not until now, yeah. Now I'll have it stuck in my head.
And like
I'm gonna listen to it and drink when we get off the air.
Hey.
Somebody cut the bear bending of the knee that we saw tonight to that. Yeah, so King Woods won, and Jimmy was going to do it, and then Roman attacked.
Punched him right out of his crown. That was a great visual.
Yes, it was.
I mean, it's kind of funny, right? To have it be like, here's this whole story that we're building up with Jimmy and Xavier, this whole feud, and then like Xavier wrestles a great match, wins, and it's like, oh, you want this payoff? Nope. Roman runs everything.
Yeah. I mean, that was real. I mean, I guess it's good to get heel heat that this is what the payoff was supposed to be. And just as he was going to do it, Roman came in there. So I don't like that they didn't pay it off, but I do like this for the Roman Reigns character because they did talk this up throughout the match. Like, can you imagine Roman Reigns, how he's going to feel when somebody bends the knee for somebody other than Roman Reigns? So you can kind of see where this is going.
Yes. I'm sorry, Issa, but I think I pointed this out on this podcast 2 years ago. If the commentary ever says, can you imagine, it's not happening.
Yeah. Right. That's funny. No, I was gonna say I also feel like we're teasing a little bit of tension within the bloodline because Roman on his opening promo mentioned how the bloodline lost last week, the 1 week that he wasn't here, and now look, they had to do it again. Roman had to save him when the bloodline is supposed to be the one saving Roman. So I do think you're also starting to plant a couple of seeds within the bloodline themselves.
Yeah. So that was SmackDown tonight, and it finished early. Episode 1 of The Phantom Menace was still on TNT before Rampage started.
Very magnanimous of them, giving you time to get ready for Rampage, to change the channel so that you can catch the show right there at the beginning. How nice of them.
Yeah, to watch the end of The Phantom Menace and go, I don't remember any of this. Did I forget? Was this actually a good movie? And I just somehow forgot it?
Oh my God, I watch so many endings of so many movies on Wednesdays. Every time I tune into AEW, there's always like the last 2 minutes of, usually it's actually always what? Ready Player One, or like it's always the same movies, like it feels like. But yeah, I always catch the end of movies thanks to AEW.
Man on Fire was one time with Denzel, which is a very sad ending. Not to spoil it, but I remember because I've seen the movie and I loved it, but I'm never going to see it again because of how it ended. And I tuned in, and that was the ending. I was like, "Oh no, I'm going to cry before Dynamite." I didn't cry, by the way. I did not cry.
It's fine.
Okay.
You
can
not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just.
If it's okay to have emotions, Alfred, please.
You're right.
As Rosie Greer said, crying lets the sad right out of you. So AEW Rampage tonight, following up an airing of The Phantom Menace on the TNT. This might be a recency bias. I think this might have been the best episode of Rampage yet.
In a long time. In a long time. Yes.
I'm right there with you.
Probably since CM Punk's debut, since the first or the second episode.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing CM Punk has done since he's debuted. Outside of his debut, which was great, this is by far the best thing CM Punk's done.
Aw shucks, Phil is dead.
Yeah, love it. Loved how it opened too.
Oh my God! For Halloween, we watched The Girl on the Third Floor. I didn't realize CM Punk is the star of that movie.
Yeah. From what I saw, that he's a pretty good actor. I don't think he's a bad actor at all, and he's good on heels too. On the Star show, he
was okay. The Girl on the Third Floor had issues; it was very derivative, but he was not a weak point. He actually, I thought, was very held his own in a movie that's mostly just him and Haunted House. So we opened. Oh my God, Max Caster tonight. Woo!
Oh my God!
Can I, if I may, the lines that are gonna get everybody talking and piss off Stanford. He said, "I'm gonna put you into poverty, dog, because I end careers quicker than your father-in-law." In reference to John Laurinaitis, the father-in-law of Daniel Bryan. Just so timely. I love Max Caster.
Me too.
This was his moment tonight. I think these were his best bars. I think that he finally learned how to do this without pissing people off. How to get the crowd on his side, basically.
I mean, he's an antagonist. It's, he's going to try.
Yeah, I mentioned in those cuts. He did it. I don't want to say in a tasteful way, but you get my point. It was a good way to get to drop that bar. I loved it. I popped huge. I literally screamed.
I'm just saying, no. If you go back and watch 8 Mile, Lotto, and even Papa Doc weren't dissing the crowd. They were still trying to keep the crowd on their side.
Right.
There was an art to that.
Yeah, they're going for the O's and they're, more or less dissing B Rabbit.
Yes. And I think that this was very good tonight. I thought his bars were great. And then Bryan Danielson versus Anthony Bowens. I tell you, this felt very fresh. This felt
Yes.
like Anthony got a good chance to be showcased.
Oh yeah.
Bryan Danielson still won, but this was just a really hot match, perfect length to start the show. I thought this was so well done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is a
100%.
really good. Yeah. I like that they showcased Anthony Bones. Like you said, he got a lot. The one nitpick I have is that he like showcased this new move that they really put on over the Arrival, which is a cool looking move, but it's more of a finisher. And then Bryan Danielson just kicked out of it and they just kept going. So I would have rather that be showcased as a finisher because I'm sure that's what his finishing move is going to be. But I had no problems with this match. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, Brian is Illuminati confirmed. I will continue to repeat that. He just looks so good. He's having so much fun. Wait, what is it? He's having so much fun. One of my highlights, every time his music hits, because the music is so good, so I always want to party as soon as I hear it. But every time his music hits, I feel like I'm in for something that I'm going to enjoy no matter who his opponent is. So I'm very happy. I thought that Max Caster was well, and this was a hot opener. And seeing what they had lined up for Rampage and starting that way, I had a feeling we were going to be in for a fun episode, and it was. I really enjoyed this episode of Rampage, and this was the perfect way to open it.
Super fun. And then CM Punk comes out, and I got to admit, based on recent weeks, I was like, oh, here we go again. He's just happy to be here, but interrupted tonight by Eddie Kingston. They traded words. I thought this was, if Eddie Kingston has not had a true star-making moment, tonight was it, I thought, in terms of just promos on the mic, toe-to-toe.
You can say it, Glenn. He ate it up. No crumbs. Eddie Kingston ate this segment up. Yeah. Now, CM Punk was just great, but you're talking about Eddie Kingston toe-to-toe with CM Punk, and he just, oh my God, this was
did not back
amazing.
Down.
No, he did not back down. And when he said, do me a favor after I kick your ass, quit again for another 7 years. I was like, oh!
That's the line. That's when he had to set it off.
Yeah, that was the line, and I this is what I want to see CM Punk do, right? I've been vocal about not being into what they're doing with CM Punk, but you don't have to put him in a title feud. I don't need to see him in a title feud. I just want to see him in a title feud with somebody that we're all invested. This felt great. I absolutely loved it. I they don't even have to have a match. I think, Alfred, you tweeted it. Let them go have a promo wars at Full Gear. Let them just talk on the mic for 20 minutes. I'll take that.
Me too. Yeah, 100%. I thought this was fantastic. We were talking about this on Wednesday on the Dynamite podcast, and I was saying CM Punk feels like the heel in this feud because, Eddie Kingston's a people's champion. He will get people on his side just for being such a great promo and so emotional and such an everyman that people are going to, by default, cheer for Eddie Kingston. And that's what happened throughout this, exchange. I think they did a good job of inserting lines designed to get Eddie Kingston booed, like when he said, "Nobody wants you here." Yeah, they turned on him, but for the most part, they were chanting for Eddie Kingston. The fact that they're framing this like CM Punk wants an apology is kind of a heel thing for CM Punk to be doing.
Yes.
And then CM Punk kind of looking down on him, condescending, "Oh, maybe you should be on AEW Dark." Like, Eddie Kingston is going to get babyface support in this feud. Like, you saw some of it tonight. And this just felt so real. And I know these two guys, I'm sure, have like respect for each other in real life. But watching this made it feel like those Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels promos.
Yeah.
When I go back and watch those, knowing how much they hated each other in real life, you can feel how real that is when they're just trading these barbs. And they captured that. And I think it was just fantastic how they did this.
I think Eddie needs to go over and win at Full Gear. I think this is to be CM Punk's first loss.
Wow.
I mean, I would love to see it, but I don't know about that. To Alfred's point, I love that Eddie Kingston immediately after he said that line said, "Nobody in the locker room is gonna say it, but I'm gonna say it," referring to it's not the fans. I'm talking about the wrestlers back there who didn't want you back here. I just absolutely love that. And Alfred, to just like even make another point to what you spoke about on Wednesday, I felt this was heel of CM Punk because I get it that Eddie Kingston interrupted him, but CM Punk comes out, cut that amazing, beautiful promo for Moxley, and then calls out Kingston for not being there when Kingston is Moxley's best friend. Yes. I wouldn't want Eddie Kingston to be there. He's probably got to be as affected as a close friend and family member of Moxley. So it's like, why are you calling him out right now? And I also almost wanted Kingston to bring that up tonight and be like, you're trying to call me out here on a day that I'm extremely vulnerable. My best friend is going through something. But I appreciate them not putting them into the storyline. But from that moment, I'm like, how are you going to cut a promo about Mox and then talk crap about his best friend, which we all know, is Eddie Kingston. So I felt like CM Punk is very heelish, and which makes this even better.
Yeah.
But the thing is, given that they're relatively close in age and experience levels, this isn't a CM Punk wins and then attaboys, the loser is like, you did good, kid, you went the distance. Like, I think Eddie needs to win this. I really, really do. I think that will give.
Very interesting. It might be too early to beat CM Punk, and if you're gonna have a moment like that, Eddie Kingston, I think, is kind of a made man already in AEW in terms of, I don't think he needs a win like this. And if you're gonna have this big moment of somebody beating CM Punk, I think it should be like an MJF or somebody on their way up. Maybe Darby Allin gets that win back. But listen, I wouldn't have a problem necessarily with Eddie Kingston winning, because I just thought he was on fire tonight. And I think there is something very special about Eddie Kingston. He has skills that like people would kill for in pro wrestling in terms of getting you interested in his matches. He could do that in a moment's notice. And but listen, the fact that we're talking about this, I think, is a credit to him and CM Punk for really making this feud pop.
It's really brought something out of CM Punk tonight. Tina Miller, $5, saying, I sing his praises every day, but Eddie encouraged me to be honest about my depression. He's so real. I was like the Tex Avery Wolf during that promo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This was so good tonight. And just talk about, like, between this and the opening match, just it's funny. I felt a little tired after SmackDown, a little just stressed about everything. This was just a boost, man. This was fantastic. So we went from then this devolved into a brawl, which was great.
Yeah,
them trying to split these guys, like a really good brawl, like one that did not look the usual fake or forced like situation. This looked real. This felt real. This was very good. Name dropping Samoa Joe in that promo and some other guys.
Got a big pop.
Yeah. It got a big pop. It was excellent. It was a very perfectly done segment in my opinion. I thought it was enjoyable, and I did see the reaction from the live crowd as well as the internet crowd. Everybody was behind this. They loved it.
And they're just laying it out there, so AEW has more reason to buy those Ring of Honor tapes,
Yeah, for sure. And I will say what was creatively different from this is that they started out like literally in corners, like in each other's corners as far away as possible. And as that thing picked up, when the barbs were getting more and more personal, they were coming closer and closer to where by the end of that, they're literally in each other's face where CM Punk headbutts them. I thought that was really well done to really build the tension throughout this exchange.
Yeah, also shout out to Eddie Kingston for finally just saying some of the things that everybody have been saying about CM Punk and nobody in AEW has wanted to say because he's just happy-go-lucky CM Punk. And here comes Eddie Kingston just dropping some of the bombs.
Yeah. And then, oh man, Red Velvet versus the Bunny had the unfortunate honor of following all this. So this was the last round of the opening tournament for the TBS title. Alfred, what did you think of this match?
It was fine. I think the Bunny is excellent. So, I mean, Red Velvet's a little more inexperienced, but I thought they both worked well together. I thought it was a fine match. It was, didn't give them too much time, but I thought this was fine. And I'm actually looking forward to Cargill and Red Velvet. I expect that to be very short, kind of like a David Goliath type matchup, but I'm here for it.
How do these short women's matches?
Yeah, it's happening it's a pandemic. I'm gonna time these women's matches. When this tournament's over, I'm gonna look at the average time of these matches and compare it, and not with any axe to grind or whatever. I want to just compare these two to see how long, on average, these women tournaments matches go.
Oh, we didn't talk about this tonight. We forgot on SmackDown that Shotzi Blackheart sounded like she future endeavored her tank.
I hate it. This is more of WWE shooting itself in the foot and taking this great thing where it's ready-made. She's got the tank, merchandisable, and no, we're not going to do that. We're going to take Shotzi's tank, just like we're going to carry across the helmet.
Yeah, I don't need a tank to run her over.
Terrible.
The one thing that we liked, they're going to take it away because that's what WWE does. Whether it's a gimmick or a wrestler that we like, they're going to take it away.
Yeah. They'll either take away something that you do like or they'll add something you didn't ask for. They're like Subway.
Eat fresh, baby.
More mayonnaise, you said? Oh, sure, yeah.
Did you ever see that Tom Green video from Canada in the 90s where he just keeps asking, where he's just like, a little more lettuce, a little more pickles, and he just keeps going till the sandwich is like 6 inches tall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Always think of that.
Tom Green, former America's player in Big Brother, Issa, which I did vote for Tom Green that season to be America's player.
I love Tom Green in Big Brother. Tom Green in Big Brother. It was a whole different side of him.
Absolutely. So, man, I thought the Bunny did well tonight. Red Velvet got that win. We'll see where this tournament goes from here. And then, what are they doing with this Adam Cole thing? Oh my God! So, okay, let's just talk real about this. It was Adam Cole and the Young Bucks versus John Silver versus the Dark Order. Are they too inside now? Where we heard the rumor that Adam Cole didn't resign because they wanted to cut his hair and make him a manager, and we're going to lampshade that. And they're making this like front and center in the story, man. Like, is this going to get over with anyone?
The problem is who it does get over with. I think the problem is it gets over with these live crowds who they go to the shows, they watch BTE, they're really into it, so it's going to get a great pop. But as a television viewer who follows AEW closely, I didn't know anything about this Butch thing. I haven't seen BTE in a couple of weeks, so I didn't know what the hell they're talking about.
How do you not know this whole Butch thing? Which commentary did a good job, I will say, for the television audience. Commentary was like, what is this all about? And then behind them, you can see all of the Butch signs, But agreed. If you watch, look at the views that the audience that you have with Rampage and Dynamite, and look at the views that BTE gets, you should understand that this is not going to be something that everybody gets.
No, not at all. I mean, I did, go back and watch to see what the references were. And look, this is something that their audience, especially the people who are there live, but they really got to be careful doing this thing where it's this insider references, because you're really alienating a lot of people, a lot of whom watch the show and follow AEW on TV. So you don't want to lean too much into the stuff that's on the internet on YouTube.
Yeah, I think Budge, whatever. This is not a mainstream product. The inside jokes like this that rely on advanced level fandom to understand it. It's just, this is not how you make a mainstream product, and this is not what TBS or TNT is paying them for.
Or they need to do a better job at explaining where these references are coming from and get some of your TV viewers to go over to these YouTube shows. Because I personally, I'm one that have enjoyed AEW more when I started getting into BTE and following those storylines. And I felt lost at times from the beginning when I wasn't watching it on a constant basis. But they don't really mention BTE. They mention Dark and Elevation, but they don't mention BTE, which should be part. I get it because it's like their own channel, but should be part of their YouTube programming if they're going to involve it so much into their TV storylines as well.
Yeah, I would like to see at the very least a 30-second clip from BTE of what's going on here. That's not only going to encourage people to watch BTE, but then you're going to have the thread. So, this is what they're talking about. Yeah.
The match was fine tonight. It was entertaining. I don't know. It just feels like if Adam Cole is such a hot pickup and he is, I think, to get someone that's literally on NXT TakeOver and 2 weeks later on an AEW pay-per-view, that's huge. This feels like a very this whole Budge thing feels like a very mid-card storyline. This feels to me like a waste of his talents.
Yeah. It does seem beneath Adam Cole, but I did like the final few minutes of this match, how they really did a good job convincing you that maybe John Silver was going to pull this off. The crowd was definitely convinced that it could be an upset, and I really did like the finishing sequence. But this, I think it might even be beneath John Silver. I don't know who that was, but it might even be beneath John Silver to be doing this. I think he's above doing this on TV.
And the match was good.
And I think they've done a good job at showcasing the Dark Order lately as well. Like the single guys from the Dark Order in their matches, they look excellent.
We need more Dark Order infomercials and commercials, and they need to start running a multi-level marketing scheme.
Yeah, those were really good. They were really well produced when they do those infomercials about people who are down on their luck.
Yes, and it needs to turn out like they're selling Herbalife or Amway or something.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, those Dark Order's early commercials, very Squid Game-esque in terms of targeting people who are in trouble and trying to bring them into your world.
I have not seen Squid Game yet, but I.
Oh my God! How?
Okay, so
I just started it. It's so good.
We talked about this
podcast.
I got more DMs about this the other night, Alfred. I dropped that. I found out you could get a $50 to $100 wireless kit, and for $150, you could buy a slim subwoofer to put underneath your couch. I got more DMs than I've ever gotten from this podcast. People like, dude, what'd you buy? How do you hook this up? And then when I was like, oh, well, now I've got the wireless kit, I could split that. And for like $100, I can get a second subwoofer under my couch. So we've just been watching like movies, like I've watched the Jurassic Park T-Rex scene at least 100 times to like.
Oh, that sounds good on the subwoofer.
Yeah, well, you got to fine tune the bass. That's really the key. But Squid Game, we're going to get around to it. We're caught up on our other TV. We finished the season of Evil. Holy shit, that series. Issa, have you started Evil yet? Because that's right up your alley.
I did. I started Evil and I started Squid Games. I haven't finished them, though. I have a crazy dog here. Sorry.
Here's the thing. Squid Game is excellent on bass. If you're going for the bass in terms of the soundtrack we have and some of the sound effects of the people dying, it's great.
Okay, well, there you go. I'm going to check it out. I've got 2 subwoofers under the couch, 1 in the front. I think I'm covered on the bass. And what do I play to fully also tune it? Sir Mix-a-Lot's Testarossa and Latrim's Cars That Go Boom. Because really, if you got a system, that's how you make it all work. So I had something else wrestling related. Oh, I want to say this about Rampage. Chris Jericho was not on commentary tonight.
Big improvement.
Chris Jericho, fantastic wrestler.
Great. Commentary without him is better.
Love him as a wrestler. Love him as an entertainer. I think Judas is one of the best rock songs of the last 10 years. But I'm sorry, Chris. On commentary, you're a little much, as my people might say.
I like him every now and then. I don't even think he's that bad of a commentator, but week after week after week of that does add up. And I do think that they should use Jericho in spurts when they're doing him on commentary, because I just think he also didn't really gel well with the 4-man booth because of how bombastic he is.
This was so pleasant tonight. It complimented the show. It didn't upstage or overshadow it.
Yes.
This, I think, made it a more enjoyable episode because it was a nice vibe.
I agree.
There you go. So that was tonight in wrestling. Tune in next week. Let's see who's left on the WWE and NXT rosters.
Or on the podcast. We don't know if we have a job.
It's true.
It might not be.
We can't do a podcast if we don't have anybody in the product to cover.
If Raj did not send any of us emails, we will see you guys Tuesday.
Yes. Everybody have a great weekend. He said this is Nasty. She's at NYC Demon Diva. That's Diva with a 1. I'm at Glenn Rubenstein. We'll catch you back here next time on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.